the focus of the discussion is, okay, we have seen a lot of digitized functionalities of IT, of platforms. On the other side, we are, let's say, all aware, and to some extent, we are suffering also from the Corona crisis. But let's say we see it in a broader, let's say, view from the view of sustainability. And this is what I would also like to bring in the questions in the next. But before, I would like to present the panelists. First is Alessandro Canepa. He's born in Turin, in Italy, 69. He has a business administration degree from the Bocconi University, and he's R&D manager of the company Piacenza, located in Biella. Piacenza is well known for highest quality cashmere products, and he participated in 15 EU projects from the 7th Framework Program on. He's also evaluator for the European Commission, PTA, for Agenzia dell'Innovazione. Sorry about my Italian. And he is also member of the ETP Textiles from the beginning, since more than 15 years. And we are also very happy, or he can be happy, that he's a coordinator and creator of the TRIC project, traceability from cradle to cradle by blockchains interoperability, with the main focus in the textile industry. The project will start in May, 1st of May, has some 29 partners and a funding of 8 million euro. So this is Alessandro. Second, I would like to introduce Linda Honakova from Euratex in Brussels. She is policy officer at Euratex, the European Apparel and Textile Confederation. She's textile engineer and graduated from the Technical University of Liberec in Czechia. She started her career in Euratex 2 years ago, and her field, her expertise is on circular economy business cases and on the broader circularity strategy for the European textile economy. And as policy officer, she focused on the circular economy, recycling hubs, and the PEF, the product environmental footprint. Fabrizio Fiocchi from company SGO. He's founder and chief executive officer of SGO, and he has more than 25 years of experience in finance with a focus on quantitative asset management and investment banking. Prior to SGO, he was member of the management committee as an executive director of Horizon Intesa San Paolo Asset Management Company. He got a master's degree in economics and finance from University of Leeds in UK, and a degree of economics at Università La Sapienza and a BA in Maths. Finally, and I'm very happy to have also Marte here in the round of panelists. Marte Henschel is CEO at Sketch in Berlin, Amsterdam. And Sketch is an innovation agency, a B2B sourcing platform, and an IT solution provider supporting the fashion brands, manufacturers, and suppliers along the entire supply chain. They create a range of innovation platforms to catalyze the digital and sustainable transformation of our industry. Okay, thank you. Now let's come to your opinion, to ideas, and my question to Alessandro from Piacenza is: as your company makes highest quality products, cashmere products, the question is, how much could be really digitized? Yeah, how much physical touch and feel will be there in the future? Alessandro?
Okay, Dieter, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. For first, we know each other since a long time, so I am really happy to be back collaborating with you. So, you know, Piacenza is producing fabrics, so we are in the upper part of the value chain. We have a small finished product division, therefore I know also that part of the market, but we are 85% producing fabrics. So the digitalization in our field is very, very strong. So in the recent year, we have focused on the fashion women's fabrics, which means more than 33,000 new designs per season. And you know, we have 2 seasons, and more than 30% of the production is customized for the customers. Louis Vuitton, Kering Group, Prada Group, and so on. So the point is that the digitalization has helped us very much to reduce the time of the co-design with the customers, with the designer of the customer. Vicenza has become more a design provider. It is not only a fabric producer. The production comes after the co-design, and therefore we are chosen specifically because we have a very strong relationship with the customers. But the co-design by virtual prototyping has boosted this process because there is a synergy. There is not an opposition between the production and the co-design. The physical product is always necessary to have the hand feeling, the touch, to evaluate the finishing surface processes of our fabrics. But currently, we are able to provide from the design to the delivery of the sample a 5 days timing, which is absolutely short. Which means that in 5 days, we make the co-design by virtual prototyping. We support the customer, providing him the virtual prototyping of the fabric, and then we produce it and we deliver it. And this is something which puts the company in a great position towards any kind of competitor outside Europe. This is the reason why we had a very, very strong reshoring effect with an increasing of sales of more than 30% before the COVID in 2 years, because the customer were asking for this kind of service. Then we deliver also the fabric, but the delivery of the fabric is something which is comes later. So we sell for first the service, and here the digitalization is absolutely a key technology to be able to boost the capacity of the companies to provide such a design offer.
Okay, that's important to see. Okay, we need the digitization, and we need also the physical products, and it's an let's say a challenge to find a good balance. And now coming to the next. Okay, now we have the samples and we have also the products. And what do we do at the end? And this is my question to Linda now. How much or which digitization and how much digitization is needed at the end for closing the circle?
I would like to also, hello everyone, it's a pleasure to meet you. So as you all know, the textile industry is a very diverse and complex sector, ranging from clothing, sorry, I'm sharing my screen, sorry. Yeah, so from clothing, interior textiles, technical textiles, up to even protective workwear, and it plays an important role in the European manufacturing industry. And today we cannot consider the future without going through a process of the digitalization, not only on the level of the company business model, but as well in the production and end of life stage. And the digitalization creates opportunities for ensuring the sustainability and of course the resource efficiency. The technology plays important role, for example, in reduction of waste. If we are talking about closing the loop and the circular economy, such a technology can improve efficiency and quality in the textile sorting. That is crucial for the recycling of textiles, and the recycling of textiles is also crucial for the shift from the linear economy to the circular economy. And the use of more software to streamline the supply and production chains in the textile and clothing sector is by now considered like crucial and critical. So the introduction of the digital tools promise not only faster and more sustainable business workflow, but also, sorry, my screen is getting all over the place. But also, so not only the workflow, but also the increase of the competitiveness and the innovation. And there is the demand for the increased efficiency and also transparency in the by policymakers, customers, alongside supply chain actors, and it's growing and it's getting attention. And from a Euratech standpoint, as a textile and clothing confederation, the European Union aims to fundamentally change the product policy in Europe as part of the Green Deal and the Circular Economy Action Plan, with an initiative called Sustainable Product Policy, where with this initiative, the Commission wants a green product to become the norm, with solutions such as, for example, digital product passport. And the digital product passport aims to provide like information, for example, on the origin of product, on the durability or the composition, or for example, reuse, and of course, like the end of life handling. So the scenarios, what will happen with it. So
okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that that's important aspects, yeah, that we all have to change, or our industry has to change, and it's going on its way, and we have important contributions already. But at the end, the money counts, yeah. So the question now to Fabrizio is, what are the new circular business model, and what role will play services in this business model? In this business models, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning to everyone. Yeah, it's very interesting what we're saying about data and circularity. I would like to underline a little bit circular economy and what the business in fashion is doing now and should do in the future. When we talk about corporates, you can see that they are really advanced now in terms of technology, industry 4.0, whatever. They're making a lot of jobs in robotization or automation, optimization, but they're still working on linear base. So they are getting suppliers, they go contract with supplier, they're producing and they sell. So a single corporate cannot be circular at the end of the day. So the role of technology will be exactly to make the ecosystem circular. So this is a very big step for the industry, because it means that these corporates, even small and mid corporates, need to realize to create a digital governance of data. They are very strong on financial side, but as you know, when you're talking about sustainability, we're talking about circularity, we have to account and manage even other data. We are still, it's not really working well at the moment with this process of manage and report this kind of data. I give you some number. For example, large corporates, worldwide large corporate, the one they making sustainability report, around 50% is producing reporting on energy consumption, but just 10% is giving some data on water. And you know how much is important to water in fashion business. So these corporates need to account all these numbers in the future, in the near future, because otherwise, the model you are showing where the supply chain is supposed to, to connect all this data because you want to know how much is the impact of the products you are going to sell, you don't have this data. So the first step is to make these corporates, allow them to manage this data. And this is, in a way, this is the project we did with my, I left finance, the world of finance, to create a platform, integrated platform that allowed corporates to manage this data. But what is important for me is now, it's not to talk about my company or my business, is is the fact that we are going to have a very strong process of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and big data. And this is the future. We will have the blockchain checking if what you are declaring is true or not. If your, or your numbers of impacts are right, or you are misleading, or you are saying something is not true. But first of all, we need that corporates understand they have to create this, this technological platform that we call enterprise sustainability management, exactly like we did in the past for the financial data. This is something that is going on in large corporates, some small corporates. We work with a lot of corporates in fashion. Even small corporates, mid corporates are now working in this direction. They are providing this data, they are processing this data, they are investing to make a digital governance of this data. This is very important for the circularity. Otherwise, we are not getting this data because big data are not getting exactly what the corporate is doing, especially if we are not if we are talking about corporates outside Europe or outside United States, like in Asia.
I fully agree with you. This is absolutely important. And we have seen the digital tools on the one side, we need the transparency. I want to put the focus a little bit, because if we're talking about big data and we're talking about the textile industry and the textile economy, if we change a little bit about regarding to transparency and what is necessary for the change to sustainability, it is not only the digital things, the transparency, but maybe even for me, and please allow me a little bit of a personal statement. For me, the most important thing is in the transformation to the circular economy is to reduce the waste, to reduce the products which will be produced and not used. And this brings me to the question, also to Marte, how much will mass production be for the future, or will small series production, short runs, become much more important? And sorry, this is my personal conviction that I say, okay, we have to reduce, and we can reduce with all the technology we have. We can reduce all the big amounts. We can go to production on demand. But sorry, now Marte, please.
Thank you, Dieter. And first of all, thank you for having me and inviting me today. And congrats to the partners for your achievements. That's quite impressive. I'm also a true believer in the decentralization of manufacturing in all consumer and industry goods industries. And I'm also a big believer that increasing flexibilities in regards to lead times and quantities will also help to make many organizations and companies along the supply chain, whether they are brands or suppliers, will become more resilient. So as a takeaway from the recent year, from the pandemic, where global supply chains actually hit the pause button. And what we can see on our platform, we have a bit more than 30,000 member businesses globally, of which about 50% are European-based companies, both brands and manufacturers and suppliers. There is a huge and tremendous shift from bulk production, meaning to whatever 18 seasons a year, pre-order large quantity production, and then selling the goods over that are stored over the season or over the months, and providing various markets towards continuous flow operations. That means the same brands, the same buyers are not ordering twice a year, large quantities, but they're ordering probably 20 times a year, every month or every 2 weeks. And that is what is interesting about that is that there's an incredibly increasing effort needed in operations management and in live data and accountability and governance of those processes. So on the one hand, we have increasing complexity. On the other hand, we have a reduction of quantities, which means there's a huge pressure on the margins, that there's an increasing pressure on suppliers and manufacturers. So it's not per se good that that smaller quantities are produced if the organization of those processes are not beneficial for everyone in the supply chain. And this means there have to be platforms such as the one you presented today, but these platforms also have to be incredibly easy to access and operate. So this is a bit of a, probably allow me to be also a bit, reflect on this matter a bit critical. So it has to be very easy, intuitive, and accessible. That also means we have to design probably a meta platform of platforms that are interconnected. Dieter, I know we are talking about this since quite a while, but yes, there's a huge potential to shift the textile industry towards a better future with making production, with decentralizing production, with making breaking down the quantities and the lead times. But there's also a risk that there's additional pressure on the ones in the supply chains without, let's say, the negotiation power and without a strong voice and public voice.
Okay. Yes, Martin, thank you. We discussed it a couple of times, and to some extent we are in line, but there are also, let's say, some open points to discuss. And one point was also mentioned by Fabrizio, and he said about the openness. Yeah, we have to make very simple platforms and let's say user interfaces, but it is also important to be open. And from this point of view, I would like to, let's say, make a kind of a final round for each of you. And so one aspect is how many digitization, we discussed it already, how many services are, how to close the loop, do we need some recycling hoops, how open can we communicate, and how to make money out of it, how to make money out of it. So, but maybe Alessandro, you first. What could be the role of the services? You mentioned it already, but just taking into account the openness aspect and the simplification aspect for the user, other than, let's say, some special, let's say, recommendations or needs, what you think, what is necessary, what we from the research point of view should do, or what, let's say, the industry can or could already do.
Thank you, Dieter. In my opinion, the next frontier will be related with the traceability, because I see many claims of industries, especially in the lower part of the value chain, related with the adoption of procedures in the circular economy, in the protection of the environment, and so on. But if you ask them to prove, they are not able to do that, because traceability requires a great effort to collect all the information, especially in our sector. I see. So Fabrizio has stated, for example, the fact that the collection of the data related with energy is much higher than the one in our textile industry. The reason is that our industry is very deep, it has a very long value chain, and it is very fragmented. I see also that, to be frank, there could be also some interest to leave an opacity to the value chain in order to hide the fact that the production is still carried out in countries where the protection of the environment, of the workers, and of the ethical rules are not respected. So to avoid the fact that the company can claim to adopt virtuous practices, but they are not doing that. Traceability will be the frontier, which will, in my opinion, put our companies in Europe, which since a long time have been subject to controls, have been also subject to an ethical ruling and to an integration of the production with the collection of the data in a very good position. In 3 projects we have started, for example, as you know, as regards the preferential certification of origin, which is the certification of the flow of the data related with the traceability of the production. And we have involved also the customs, the public customs, because they are the public body which will fight against the counterfeiting. Because I expect a strong counterfeiting of the environmental practices in the future. And so we have to consider this, because the damage towards those companies which are really adopting these practices will be very high, and we have to fight against it. So in my opinion, this will be the challenge in the near future.
So transparency, and which will help in a lot of aspects, maybe also in the aspect of what can we do at the end, what is the end of life. And this brings me to, let's say, a statement or some ideas from Linda. Yeah, what could be the role of the PEF, of the product environmental footprint on the one side, or what could be what is needed, might be needed for the clothing for recycling hub. But it's up to you to make, let's say, from your point of view, from your text point of view. Linda, please.
Well, both of them are very important, because for the circular economy and the digitalization and the traceability, transparency, everything together, we need PEF, we need the product environmental footprint. So we can see, we can compare the impact of the product, and we have like a more harmonized method how to calculate such a impact. As you may know, since 2019 there has been pilot on the product environmental footprint, especially for apparel and footprint, that is being developed. It will conclude in 2022. There is many stakeholders, brands, research centers, and so on included. For example, on the data, when we are talking about traceability and digitalization and so on. So the data, there is company-specific and secondary data that are used for the calculation. And so, for example, for the textiles and footprint, it is based on key aspects such as raw materials, production, durability, circularity, use stage. To give a more specific example, for example, from the use stage of a product, we talk about the final product. We are looking at the data on the temperature of washing or the time of ironing. So this is one aspect. For the recycling hubs, I will be very, very short, very briefly, because on that we could talk days. But so, as you also may know, there is this mandatory separate collection of textiles coming by end of or respectively 1st of January 2025. All the member states has to collect it, and there is no solution, nothing how to tackle all these waste, all these collected textiles. There is nothing on such a scale that could help this. So there is a flagship proposal on these recycling hubs, where one of the aspects will be also a platform where the rehabs will be act as a European coordinators, sharing information via this platform, aiming to improve the waste collection, the sorting, the recycling, also to see the composition of the textiles, to better track it and better sort it. So again, we are back at the closing the loop, hopefully. And so it will offer like a European-wide let's say, market platform for recycled fiber that will help the demand and offer for the recycled content.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Just a final remark, final comment from Fabrizio. Fabrizio, please.
Yeah, just back to what Alessandro was saying, it's really important. I think if we are talking about the new circular paradigm, we will accelerate the process of digitalization. That's fine, yeah. But we will see a transformation, even a pressure to transform products to services, and even even the logic of offshore production will be revised, because when you are going to see in the in the circularity, you will change the approach. Even we mentioned, yeah, corporates outside, we in countries that we have a problem of sustainability. I know, I give you just your data. More than 500 Chinese corporates in this moment every single year are making a new sustainability report, so are disclosing these numbers, so they know they have to improve this from this side compared to Europe at least. And I see a lot of pressure from this point of view. So I'm quite sure they will be able to collect this data and manage all this data to understand materials, waste, water, CO2. So in the near future, we will have all this data. Well, every single corporate needs to do his job in a standard way. Our platform is certified by the major standard framework like GRI, SASB, or whatever, but the most important thing is that you have to collect all data in the same platform. You have to make the stakeholder engagement to understand what is important in your corporate. You have to manage the data of consumption you are doing in your corporates, and you have to manage the supply chain. So you need to collect data from the suppliers, because you have to measure this data. That's
I think we are on a good way on this. We have all the things. Thank you, Fabrizio. Marta, it's the final turn for you.
I try to keep it brief. So I totally agree with the fellow panelists today that there is a massive effort being put in research and development of the backbone, let's say, to close the loop. And there are a lot of very promising technologies that are also made available and accessible, as mentioned, to the industry, but also to the users, meaning the designers, as well as including the end consumers, to be part of that process, to become a co-designer, a prosumer, a co-developer, a co-producer of goods. Like in the past years, we've seen 3D knitting really providing amazing and beautiful results. Of course, 3D design and virtual creation and renderings and visualization of those designs, very impressive, as well as pattern on demand and direct on garment printing. So in the coming years, there will be a lot of those technologies being made affordable and accessible to everyone, to the very diverse applicants. So this is what I would like to pitch here is, let's include the designers, let's educate the designers, let's create beautiful tools so that they can create lovable products that are really appealing to the end consumers, there to be loved and maintained and cared about.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
not.
Thank you. So I think we have heard a lot of ideas, and let's say maybe also some recommendations. We have a lot of technologies. We have developed very impressive things in the FBD project, which will clearly lead to contribute to improve the sustainability or the transformation towards the sustainability. From this point of view, I would like to thank to the panelists, thank to Fabrizio, to Marte, to Linda, to Alessandro. And of course, we are open, and I think we will communicate the contact details. I think they will be communicated by Cynthia or somewhere else.